When a startup wants to offer embedded banking, the usual playbook is pretty clear. Pick a banking as a service provider, integrate their APIs, and build your own front end. But NoCFO took a different route. They partnered with Holvi, a neobank targeting the exact same customers, and white-labeled the entire banking product. Today I'm speaking with Teemu Karuluoto, founder and CEO of NoCFO, a Finnish AI-powered accounting platform with 3,000 active customers. Instead of building banking from scratch, they embedded Holvi's bank accounts and cards directly into their bookkeeping software, letting customers open an account during onboarding and pay invoices without ever leaving NoCFO. In this conversation, we explore why partnering with a neobank made more sense than going the BaaS route, how ICP alignment drove their partnership decision, and what's really like to integrate banking when you don't have the resources to build everything yourself. We also discuss what features you can skip on day one, how open banking compares to a direct integration, and NoCFO's plans to bring this model to Germany. My name is Lars Markol, and this is the Embedded Finance Review podcast. Every 2 weeks, I'm interviewing the builders and shapers of embedded finance. And a quick reminder from my side, at Embedded Finance Review, I publish weekly newsletters, bi-weekly podcasts, and host in-person and virtual industry events. You can find all of this on my website, embeddedfinancereview.com. In addition, I work with non-financial brands, infrastructure providers, and banks to understand, design, and launch their embedded finance products. If you are interested in working with me, visit my website and please reach out. And now, let's dive in. Hi, Teemu. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today, and in what part of the world are you located right now?
Hello, I'm good. Just busy days before Christmas when we are recording this at the moment. And I'm located in Espoo near Helsinki, and it's kind of warm and missing the snow over here at the moment. But all good here.
Nice to hear that. I mean, it's the second podcast I'm recording out of Mumbai over here. When we publish it later in January, I'll be back in cold Berlin. Then I'll remember, and hearing to this podcast, I'll remember what you said by then. Maybe we have snow then as well. But today, it's definitely not snow weather over here.
Yeah, let's hope that we have snow over here as well in January. If we don't, we're going to thank for the climate change.
Indeed. Today, we're going to dive into the whole topic of, let's call it digital accounting meets embedded banking. The both of us connected, I think, a couple of months ago, when I learned about the company and how you approached the problems or the pains of your customers in combining these two worlds, banking and accounting. But before we dive into the whole banking side of things, maybe let's bring people up to speed. You are the founder and CEO of a company called NoCFO. Maybe you can give us a little bit of an elevator pitch, like what the company exactly does, who you target, and what the pain points you're solving for your customers.
Yeah, sure. So NoCFO is an AI-powered financial management platform that enables anyone to manage their bookkeeping themselves. And that's the idea of it, basically. What we do, we try to automate the bookkeeping processes as much as possible for small entrepreneurs to use, small businesses use in general. At the moment, we work only in Finland. And over in Finland, we have 3,000 active customers at the moment over different industries. But our ICPs are independent professionals and small merchant builders. And then in Finland also, we have a bunch of treasurers, so associations as our customers. The core problem that we try and solve is that the managing accounting for small businesses by themselves with the right tools and with the AI-powered tools. So that's basically what we're doing.
And can you maybe give us a couple of examples, what kind of features, functionalities are your customers using inside NoCFO?
Yeah, or I can actually give you the process of how the user starts using the app or the software. So what the user needs to do is to connect the bank account to us. So we use PSD2 open banking integration. So we basically have over 2,500 bank integrations all over Europe. So we fetch the data from the bank through these integrations, and we have the bank transaction data ready in our software. Then what we need also for accounting is the attachments. So we need the e-invoices and the receipts. So in Finland, we have the e-invoicing set up in place, so you can receive your e-invoices into NoCFO. And then for the receipts part, you can scan the receipts with the mobile phone. So you have all the attachments and bank transaction data ready there. So we connect these two, the attachment and bank transaction data, and make the accounting entry succession for the user to see that if it makes sense or not. Then what he needs to do only is to basically accept it or then modify it. And if he modifies it or accepts it as it is, the system learns from your previous entries. So the more you use it, the smarter it gets. And over time, you can actually start automate these entries. So it doesn't ask you for the exception for the entry succession anymore, but it's actually like, does it for you automatically.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have the mobile app, which actually just like a month ago, we launched our mobile app. So at the end of November, so you can actually, we say like, you can do accounting as easy as swiping through Tinder profiles. So you basically like swipe these accounting entries with your mobile app when the AI has done all the hard work behind the scenes for you, basically. That's basically what is the idea of it and the whole process, like how it works.
Interesting. And you did mention AI a few times, just to clarify that. Do you mean specifically like there's the two sides of the data pools? One are the bank account transactions, and the other one are the receipts as a digital one, or the picture ones. And then with this technology, basically you can do the perfect matching. And I don't really need to manually like open this bank account transaction and add this receipt, but I basically just make sure both sets of data are available, and then the matching happens maybe first as a suggestion and later on automatically.
Yeah, we automatically match it to the right transaction. So we have different AIs in different parts of this process. So for example, we also use these traditional like OCR methods, but then also LLM models to analyze the receipt and invoice data and to match it with the right bank transaction. And then for the accounting entry side, then we have also over there, we have different AI models that we do. So we have more traditional decision tree models, and then we have some parts of it is with LLM models. Then the actual learning is more like machine learning. So it learns from your previous entries and so on. So many different AIs, not only LLMs.
Understood. And maybe to come back to that, like what was your starting point of starting or founding NoCFO? Was there a specific problem, need you're seeing not being solved, or what? How did you get started on this journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like back in 2015, I started my first company along with my university studies. So it was this small gym that we founded together with my little brothers in Lohja, a small city in Finland. So I was doing accounting for this company and also for our like student association. And I was using these current tools available. And I had actually two different problems. That was that like I was wondering like why all of these tools look like Windows 95. Like, they were really outdated tools and like this spreadsheet model kind of. Because of that, they were kind of hard to use also. So like, they look, it was like, to like sum it up, like they look ugly and they were hard to use. And on my free time, I was using Instagram. And I had this like realization of like, like I'm using Instagram on my free time. And then this is like really nice to use and like feels nice. And then for my work, I use these accounting software which are like ugly and complex and hard to use. So this was like the realization that I had, like, I was like wondering, like, because like small business owners, they are more like acting more like consumers, even like, the entrepreneur is normally equals the business basically. So they should have these like modern tools with AI that could learn from your previous entries, and you wouldn't have to manually, put the numbers all the time. Like every month you put the same numbers in all the time. So that was the idea behind it. So basically for my own needs, that we started to develop this app.
Bringing B2B software onto the same level as consumer software and making it a little bit easier to use. I guess it's a normal kind of like quite common development, right? Where you see like that you innovative things come more on the consumer side. And once we're used to that on the consumer side, then obviously people like you and then a lot of other people are asking then stuff like, why the hell is this here in my office still like, he's like in Windows 95, as you said.
That's very true. And that's a realization that I had already like 10 years ago. But then it took a few years that I was still like, develop the idea in my head and like trying to find this, like how to do it. And then like an interesting background is for us is also that we started this business already actually in 2024, kind of like a hobby or a side hustle with the founders and our team. But then in 23, at the beginning of 23, we launched the product in Finland. So it took us some time to develop it as a hobby, along with the day jobs that we had at that time. And then we actually bootstrapped it then all the way up to until end of last year, when the parent company of Holvi actually invested in us. So that's when all the founders, and then we already had one developer with the bootstrapping phase. So all the founders, we started doing it full time. And then from there, it actually started going off.
And since you mentioned the name already of the let's say, pure fintech company. I guess I've always argued if a company like NoCFO, is it a fintech? It's not a fintech. Obviously, bookkeeping, accounting, financial data, there's a lot of financial elements in there. That being said, from my perspective, very often these tools are more like the business software as services and not the pure fintech place. But a couple of things. I mean, you did mention already that from the beginning, more or less, you used open banking to extract data from the bank accounts, to use it as one set of the data, to be said, for the bookkeeping, obviously. Then, of course, I mean, I mentioned Holvi already, and obviously you're offering today already a banking solution inside of NoCFO, which is powered by Holvi, which we'll, of course, talk about it. But maybe you can talk to us a little bit like, why did you make the decision of saying that, okay, this open banking integration alone is not enough. We need to offer a banking product ourselves. And then later on, we can talk about why you chose the approach you've chosen.
Yeah, well, like if we start from the point of view, like who we are making this software for. So those are like small entrepreneurs, small business owners. And like those ones are the ones that want the ease of use of the software. So our idea is that we want to offer these entrepreneurs like all-in-one solution. So they could use our software to do everything that they need to do. And with these business accounts, we can actually, provide that for them. So you can come to our website, you can sign up to NoCFO. With the onboarding process, it actually asks you like if you have already a bank account on it. If you don't, then you can get one from us, a business account powered by Holvi that we provide. So that was the idea, that we want to really have it like all in one place. We have custom integration, like two-way custom integration. So we have the bank transaction data coming in, but then also you can pay the invoices from our software with Holvi account at the moment. It's like a really seamless experience for these users.
And I guess when we look at embedded banking use cases or area where embedded banking is happening, I guess, I mean, specifically the accounting, digital bookkeeping space is, I think, where a lot of people would agree, like it makes a lot of sense to have. I think the only entry barriers back in the days were the only really reason that there were like two kind of providers for two services that should actually be coming from one party, because there's so much more customer value you can create if you are doing one of them together. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But then maybe coming to your decision to do that together with Holvi, I mean, obviously, when we look at the market, not purely in Finland, but in Europe, of course, there are, let's say, a lot of other options as well to offer a banking product. You've now chosen one which is maybe not unique, but maybe different than other companies have done. Maybe you can explain a little bit like what your thinking was around that.
Yeah, well, there's a few factors over there that affected our decision to do it the way we did. But like, maybe the first one is that like we said, like Holvi's parent company is an investor of ours, so we have a really close relationship with Holvi all the time. So the partnership, like we have the partnership with them like anyhow. So it was basically just like, deepening the partnership that we already had with them before that. Then another thing is that like Holvi has also like a really similar target audience that we do. So we basically have the same target audience in Finland. So that's something that really important, like in general, to keep in mind, like who's your target audience? Like with all these products and their services are packaged for these small entrepreneurs who are our target audience also. So it's really easy for us to just like, take it to us and start offering for our customers as well. We actually had the opportunity of what we wanted to do, that we want to white label it under our brand. So we actually make it seem, one software with the bank account, but it's just says over there like powered by Holvi, because of course we don't have the banking license or the payment license. But we wanted to do it that way because like I said, like we want to offer the all-in-one solution. I know that like some other players are doing it differently. Like they're just offering these, like this is our partner, like Holvi, and they can offer the business accounts like with Holvi branding. But we wanted to do it with our branding, so it would feel more like all in one, all in the same software. You don't have to jump to another software at all when doing it. When in reality, there's still some like, stuff that you need to go to Holvi's and to like for the KYC purposes, for example, etc. But like, we want to go towards that direction where all as much as possible happens in our end.
Understood. That means, like you mentioned earlier, that you already asked the question, do you have a bank account during the onboarding journey of a new customer? So let's say the person says like no, then you present them the option of onboarding a bank account inside NoCFO, which is powered by Holvi. Does it mean then that the journey continues in NoCFO, or is it then somewhere where you would then hand them over to, let's say, a normal Holvi bank account opening?
Yeah, or it continues in our like joint onboarding flow, like the first step, and then after that it goes to Holvi for KYC purposes. Then it kind of comes back to us after you've done the setup in Holvi and the integration, authenticate the integration for NoCFO. So then it works both ways, but there's a lot of, I would say, a lot to improve in that flow still, so it'd be smoother, but works for now.
I guess that for almost any digital product out there, right? It's always work in progress and can always be done better. And did I understand correctly? Did you say like there are, like today, let's say I'm a customer or I onboarded with NoCFO, I opened a Holvi account, so now let's say I finished the KYC, everything is done, and I'm starting my normal business activities. So does it mean now I can like log into NoCFO and see like my bank account balance, transactions, like let's say, I mean, obviously this data is somewhat relevant for the NoCFO side of things, but do I still have some kind of, let's say, like a banking front end where I can scroll through my transactions and do like normal kind of like banking activities, or is that something where I have different kind of credentials where I have to head over to the Holvi website or mobile app to log in over there?
Well, you have the credential for Holvi website on the mobile app as well. But what you can do now at our end is like you can check your balance. Like, we have like almost a real-time balance with the integration with Holvi. And then you can pay the invoices in our ends, receive the invoices, or you can receive them via e-invoice or email. And we always read them with AI. So we have the payment information over there really easily available. So it's basically just a one-click payment that you can do from that account right away from there. And then, of course, we have the bank transaction data where we have all the transactions listed in the list. So that's all that you can do on our end at the moment. We are developing the manual bank transfer feature in the future as well, but we don't have that in place at the moment. But one thing that you need to do, like if you want to order new bank cards or debit card, for example, so that's when you need to go to Holvi Sends, because the card is issued by Holvi and basically all the authentication related to using the debit card is happening in Holvi Send.
But is it without putting a time frame onto this, but would it be like your goal to have, like right now what I understand is like your customers, your users are going for NoCFO for bookkeeping and then for maybe, let's say, more detailed banking activities to Holvi. Like over time, is it your goal that they don't need to log into Holvi anymore and manage everything from NoCFO? Or do you say like, well, I don't care?
Well, either or. Basically, like we don't 100%, like we don't care. But on the other hand, like of course we wanted to have like as much as possible on our end. But I would say like, let's say like you can do like 95% of the stuff in our end. That would be like, from my point of view, like good enough. So then you have only the 5%, for example, ordering the cards. You have to order that like, one time per user. So that's like single transaction or like single action only. But like all the repeating actions that you do, like, paying invoices, like checking your bank account balance, retrieving the bank transaction data, the accounting. So that happens in our end, and the user doesn't have to log into Holvi to see that.
And I guess that's kind of crucial to the statement you made before, or we made before as well, that like this needs to come from the same provider, from the same service, like banking and accounting. And obviously, if you're saying, okay, there's still like 30-40% of activities you still have to log in somewhere else. And even though it's still like data transferred and all of that, it probably wouldn't be the same kind of user journey if you can do everything over there. And I guess for like one-time activities, and this may be another question as well, right? Like, I mean, the debit card creation is maybe something like very specific, but there might be other very specific activities as well, maybe like change of address or downloading account statements. And I think this is that kind of like, let's say like nasty, nerdy stuff that you need to have when you offer the embedded banking. Obviously, you can argue your benefit with the Holvi integration is as well that you don't need to have everything perfect from day one. You can really focus on what's really like, let's say, mission critical for your NoCFO activities, and all the, let's call it overhead or everything else that's necessary. You don't really need to integrate those API endpoints yet. You can do it later if you want to, but you don't have to, because you can always tell your customer, look, there's somewhere else where you can go where it's a really pretty front end and all the features and functionalities are there and you can find everything over there. Was it also like part of your decision? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, heavily so, because like, at the time when we built the integration, we were a 5-people team. So like, our resources are kind of small and we don't have time to do everything. So that was also a really important factor that we considered when we're making the decision, because like, we can get it up and running super fast. Basically, our CTO, Juho, was the one who like, developed it like all by himself. I don't know how much time it took, but like, quite quickly from my point of view at least.
Understood. And how long have you been live now with the Holvi bank account? And what's your experience since then?
It was at the end of June, if I recall, so this year. So almost half a year now.
Is the Holvi account something that you're pushing quite actively for your customers? I mean, not that you want to sell it, but like because you see it as an important piece of making your customers happy and providing the customer value that you need to be successful?
Yeah, definitely. Like the goal is to have the bank transaction data like fully in our end. Like you're probably aware of that, like open banking. Sometimes there's some hiccups with the
I've heard that.
PSD2 integrations. But when we have the custom integration with Holvi API, so we have a trustworthy data with the bank transaction, and of course the user experience is like far greater than like these ones with the some other banks that they may have like not so stable PSD2 APIs. Like that being said, at the moment I think like most of the banks, they have pretty good integration of PSD2 integrations and there's no problems, but like sometimes there's some small hiccups every now and then. But like I said, like the end goal is still to provide this perfect user experience for our user. So it's really important from our point of view that they have the right bank account in use. And for example, like they connect their bank account to us. Like if they don't do that, it still works, but it's still like, it's a manual bookkeeping then. And then we are not like, providing any new value basically. Then it's just another bookkeeping software.
Yeah, and in a way you can always, of course, always tell your clients, right, or your customers, you can definitely do that, and we don't need to force you in quotation mark to open a bank account. Maybe you don't want to do that for whatever reason, but then when maybe the inconveniences arrive during the product, or it's not maybe as great as it could be, it's always a pointer, right? Like, look, you open the bank account with us and bet it through Holvi, then maybe that's something that will be getting better for you.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like a lot of Finnish businesses, they already have their bank accounts in place. For example, if you have loans, like Holvi is not providing any loans, or they have the credit card, but like, actual business loans. So you could have like one of the bigger banks like Nordea or like OP or something like that. So we have the integration capability for that one as well, but it's really important that you integrate it or like connect your bank account to NoCFO. So we have that data in place. But when you do it, like you say that, okay, I have already a bank account. We are not forcing you to this landing page with Holvi or like business accounts powered by Holvi or anything like that.
I guess that makes sense. It's the easiest way in quotation mark. If the customer wants it, they can open it. If they don't want it, then obviously you can use it somewhere else. You did mention loans already, and maybe not loans specifically, but obviously now you offer a banking product, a bank account, a card powered through Holvi. It's obviously described it earlier, NoCFO, maybe not as a pure fintech, but more as a business software as a service solution. And now you're offering your first fintech product with banking. Do you see yourself also getting into offering more other fintech or let's say financial service offerings? I mean, maybe something like loans, like maybe credit cards step before. Is that something you're seeing, or is it really banking and the debit card is really everything you and your customers need?
Well, that's probably the most of it that they need. But then we have also, like in Finland, we have invoice financing through our partner called Nojarahoitus. So they are providing that for our customers. Then we've been in talks with some other companies, for example, the credit cards and like the smaller business loans. But I see that like there's some players in the market who are offering these kind of white labeled embedded loaning options. So those ones are probably potential ones for us as well. But when we are at the small business end, they don't have that much need for the loans as like, maybe a little bit larger companies would have. But that's something that we want to like really develop in the future. We start from the really small end, but we really want to build the product to serve also the bigger companies. I'm not talking about like, hundreds of millions of revenue, but like, let's say it's like millions of annual revenue companies. So like going towards the medium sector of businesses. So those ones probably would benefit from these embedded loans.
Got it. And then outside of financial services, I mean, you did describe now where not just financial services, but your company as a whole, where you want to develop. What do you see like your main focus, the most important things to build over the next 12 to 36 months, maybe, to exactly achieve such resources? What is still missing today? What needs to be there to be attractive for them as well?
Well, like I said, like we've been active in Finland for almost 3 years now. And then we launched the mobile app just like a month ago. So that's a fairly new app or like, improvement to our like how you do accounting with NoCFO. So next up is actually like, we're expanding to Germany next year. We're launching the beta phase of NoCFO in Germany in the first quarter next year. We already have some pilot customers going on over there. So there's a lot of development happening over there. I think the process in Germany is going to be a little bit different because of the market. With like the tax advisors play such a huge role in the German accounting market. But that's something that we have to develop a lot. And then we have a lot of these AI agent capabilities in the works. And those are serving different parts of the accounting or financial management. So we really want to like bring these features that are making financial management easier for the end user, as well as also like, providing some insights for the business owners that from their accounting data, like your data says this, and maybe you should do this stuff for in the future. Instead, what you like, you spend for a restaurant 200 euros or like 2,000 euros per month. Maybe it could help you say that, okay, that's maybe not smart for your business to spend 2,000 euros per month on restaurants. But yeah, a lot of ideas in that sector.
Okay, interesting. And you mentioned at the beginning, or that's how we started off, talking about your fintech offering, that Holvi invested in your company. And obviously, I think we understood quite well how Holvi is embedded into NoCFO, but also asking the other way around, is there also some kind of like benefits NoCFO is getting through Holvi? I mean, I guess the investment from Holvi into NoCFO is a more or less clear statement that maybe Holvi doesn't want to develop these features themselves and functionality, but rather partners with other companies with that. But is it also now that you as a company can benefit from that Holvi is a stakeholder in yours?
Well, I would say like for the Holvi users, at least like in Finland, we probably I would say that we have probably the best integration with Holvi for both ways. So it's a really solid integration. If there's anything to improve over there, we can do it like rather quickly. And then I hope that the same actually goes for Germany as well whenever we are ready to fully launch our product over there. I think those ones are probably the factors that are like most beneficial for the end users.
Yeah, and then maybe Holvi makes also put some nice words about NoCFO for you can sign some customers on their side.
Yeah. Of course, like, for example, for Germany, like, we would go to Germany, which is probably like one of the hottest markets in Europe when we're talking about like accounting and taxes. But like Holvi is already in Germany. They have, I don't remember how many customers they actually have in Germany, but like 25,000 or something like that. So they are already there. They're already our partners. So we have this door open to Germany in that sense. And we can like leverage their presence in Germany, like, their German speaking staff to help us out how to like, go to market in Germany.
Makes sense. Teemu, a lot of interesting insights. Thanks for sharing then. Maybe final question. Is there any other kind of like, let's say, final advice for maybe people in similar shoes like yourself a couple of months ago, something you have learned in your journey that you think is worthwhile for others as well?
Well, I really think that it all comes down to the problem that you're trying to solve. And then it should be like, the top of the mind that what is the problem that you're trying to solve and for who? Like, for the ICP basically. Because like a lot of stuff for us, for example, like we get a lot of like feature requests from different companies and different users. But then we need to find the features that are actually helping our ICPs, like, the most potential or like the most important customers. So that is something that should be always kept in mind. And in terms of also like, the embedded banking solutions, like I mentioned, like that's one of the reasons that we chose to go with Holvi, because they have the same target audience that we do. So it's really, the audiences are so overlapping. So it's a really easy integrations for us to do in that sense.
Makes sense. And I always ask at the very end of each podcast interview, what's a good way to reach out to you in case one of the listeners wants to take up for a chat? So far, almost everybody said LinkedIn. I'm curious to see if you have a different answer from me.
Sorry, I don't have different answers. So LinkedIn is the best one to reach me.
Perfect. Then thank you again, and until next time.
All right, thanks a lot, Lars.
Thank you for listening. And if you like this episode, I would highly appreciate if you can leave me a 5-star rating in your favorite podcasting app. And don't forget to subscribe to my weekly or monthly newsletter. All details on my website, embeddedfinancereview.com. Thank you, and until next time.